Hello, we are live. Hello guys, welcome back. If you tuned in before, we will be going on the live stream fairly soon, watching that. Then I'll give a little bit of a reaction to what we've seen. I am just been looking on Twitter, got a few pictures of the actual pod. It is actually Tesla Model X, as I expected. It is full autonomous though, so that's very, very pretty damn good. If that is actually proper level 4 and is operating as has been said. Fantastic. Okay guys, let's have a look at the stream. Probably going to be a little bit late guys, as always. Could be 15 minutes late. Hang fire guys, we'll be going live. It'll probably be around 8:15 if you just stay with the feed. I'll just keep refreshing it, hopefully it'll come up in the next 15 minutes or so. Yeah, stay tuned. I've got a question. Alright then. Oh wow, we're going. We're actually on time. How's that for volume guys? Can you hear it okay? I reckon it'll be another 10 minutes guys at least. full screen pretty soon. Okay guys, should be going live fairly soon. Just letting you know, it is around 10 past 4 UK time. I'm pretty tired. Inevitably going to make a few mistakes here, but hopefully this should all go to plan. I'm going to put this on full screen now. That looks a lot better. I'm going to see if I can drag some questions into here and I can answer your questions while we talk. Thank you, Blake. Just waking up, dude. Looking alright. Share the link to the stream. Oh, you should stay here. It's going to be the same stream, and we'll blow up nice and big. So, Charlie, I've just had a little bit of Red Bull, about half a cup. Still feeling pretty tired, I must admit. Ubaldo23, yeah, what up? Welcome to the live feed. Keep commenting, people. I want to hear what you got to say. When we get to the end of this, I'm going to answer a good few questions for maybe about half an hour. Hopefully, you've got some good questions for me, so have a good think. Yeah, good point that. Tomahawk. It's like Waymo meets Subway. Perfect last mile solution. Can move thousands of people, potentially, if it's scaled correctly. Let me know how the audio's sounding, guys. Can you hear me okay? If you can, just say yeah. I'll be going full screen, guys. Total full screen, so you'll be able to see everything. See what questions we've got. Is Elon Musk going to be talking? I'm pretty confident he will be talking, yes. I'd say 90% confident he will be talking. Am I reading YouTube comments? No. Yeah, of course I am. Just got it here on the side of my screen. I can drag it over and read them out, which is pretty cool. I like this feature. Yeah, you best do. You best do. What kind of improvements do you expect on the TBM? Very briefly, in terms of the actual power, the torque, and the amount of horsepower it can transmit to the face of the machine, expecting major power improvements, expecting improvements in the actual segment erector, expecting improvements in the actual removal of muck from the face of the machine in terms of the tonnage per hour, various other, but those are the three main things. I think tomorrow, Jacob Spur, I think if you go down, maybe early afternoon, I double check though, I think you can have a quick ride tomorrow. If I find out anything, I'll tell you later on, but I'm pretty confident you can go down there tomorrow and have a quick ride. Ashley Hale, read Patreon from earlier. Even if all you do is make yourself available for messages and let people use the community chat, it's worthwhile. Just create a $1 perk. Yeah, I tell you what, Ashley, I'll make the promise now. I will do that in the new year. I have plenty of time in the new year. Where I work closes down for a good few days, so I'll put some time in to create a Patreon, and hopefully if a few people sponsor me for $1. That'd be beautiful. If you've got suggestions of what you want me to do or improvements for the channel or any other things, then drop it in Patreon when I do create that, and I'll be very grateful for your support. Thank you, Ashley. What's with the delay? It's Elon Musk. What do you expect? When has anything ever started on time or finished on time for Elon Musk? But What matters is the end product. Why is 150 miles per hour is better than 50 miles per hour? Well, if you have to travel 150 miles, it takes 1 hour. Whereas if it was at 50, it'd take 3 hours. Is there No, there's not. I've got it up on my phone.
hole in the ground. So I think the fastest we've taken the car thus far is around 110 miles an hour through the tunnel. But that's it's a little scary right now. So probably in your trip, you maybe go 40, 50 miles an hour. But this system is designed to do over 150 miles an hour through the tunnel. And I mean, would it be incredible if you could travel around LA, New York, DC, Chicago, Paris, London, anywhere at 150 miles an hour? That'd be phenomenal. I mean, traffic is soul-destroying. It's like acid on the soul. It's horrible. We must go away. And I've lived in LA for 16 years, and traffic has gone from just 7th level of hell to the 8th level of hell, and it's terrible. So this is I think finally there's something that I think could solve the goddamn traffic problem. Yeah, seriously, that's what you say in traffic and worse. So the thing is, why tunnels? Sometimes people say, what about flying cars and all these other things? And what about mass transit? I want to be clear, we're not opposed to mass transit. We think mass transit is fine. Let's try every solution possible. But the thing about tunnels is that you can go 3D underground. The inherent problem with the way cities are constructed is that you've got all these tall buildings that are in 3D and then a road network in 2D. And then everyone wants to go in and out of that 3D building at the same time. Necessarily, this will result in traffic. There's no way around it. You have to make transport 3D. You could go with a flying car, but there are some drawbacks to flying cars. They are essentially, it's a helicopter with wheels. And they make a lot of noise, there's a lot of wind force, and the probability of something falling on your head if there are a bunch of flying cars around is much higher than if there are not. So, but I think the great thing about tunnels is that there's no limit to how deep you can go. They're weatherproof. That's the other thing about flying cars. If there's snow or rain or hurricane or something, suddenly you can't go anywhere. But tunnels are immune to weather. It does not matter if there's a tornado. It doesn't matter if there's an ice storm. It doesn't matter what's going on above ground. If you're in a tunnel, you're safe and secure. The other thing is you can't see, hear, or feel the construction. When you ride the tunnel, you'll see the entrance that's basically in the backyard of a house. Okay, the neighbor of that house, when the boring machine broke through the other side, was watching TV. The neighbor did not even stop watching TV. Okay, that's how subtle it was. So you will not hear, see, or feel the tunnels being created. And unlike freeways or any kind of surface transit, it will not divide communities. You don't have to basically railroad through communities. You can weave the boring system tunnel network into the fabric of a city without changing the character of the city. The city will still feel the same. You're not going to get in anyone's way. You're not going to obstruct anyone's view. You'll have this revolutionary transport system, and your city will still feel like your city. And layers, of course. Forgot to mention layers, plural. So what's the problem with tunnels? They usually take a very long time to build, and they're very expensive. So typically, a tunnel will take 3 to 6 months per mile. In some cases, it will take a year per mile. And they can cost up to $1 billion per mile. In fact, the LA subway extension that just got completed cost $2 billion for 2.5 miles. There was a subway extension in New York that I think cost $2 billion for a mile. So clearly something needs to be done to revolutionize tunneling technology. We need to be able to build tunnels way faster and for a hell of a lot less money. In fact, just to characterize it, the fastest tunneling machine in the world right now is 14 times slower than a snail. Okay, so when I say like, yeah, we're going to have like this tunneling machine that can do a mile a week, we're not talking about the sandworms of Dune here, okay? It's still slow. It's just as fast as a snail. You will be able to escape it. All right. This is our snail. This is Gary the Sixth. Yeah. It turns out snails don't live that long. So this is Gary the Sixth. This is our goal. We must be faster than a snail. So what are we doing to increase the speed of tunneling? As we got into it, we learned more and more about tunneling and why it takes a long time. First of all, in a given hour of tunneling, only about 10 minutes of the hour is spent actually digging. Then the other 50 minutes are spent erecting the tunnel reinforcements, laying down tracks, doing logistics, and a bunch of other stuff. So just automating the segment placement and solving the logistics issues will actually give you about a 5-fold increase in tunneling speed. It's like, and I mean, a lot of these things, like when you boil it down, it's not actually, it's hard to do. It's difficult engineering, but there's no Nobel Prize required here. It's work, but it's very solvable. The other thing that needs to happen is simultaneous drilling and tunnel reinforcing. So you need to be able to drill and reinforce at the same time. Right now, old tunneling machines drill, stop, do a bunch of reinforcements, then drill, stop, do a bunch of reinforcements. So the combination of automated segment placement and being able to drill while tunneling, like I said, is about a 5-fold increase in speed. Then with our design, we've also tripled the power of the drill. So it can drill 3 times faster. That results in a theoretical net speed increase of about 15 compared to the next best tunneling machine. So, and hopefully we'll beat our snail. So aspirationally, we should be slightly faster than a snail after doing those things. Yeah. Yeah. And there's some other things. We've modified the cutter design. The dirt removal is continuous. There are 2 lanes instead of 1 lane. But we're very confident of the engineering does close for achieving a 15x improvement. So, and a few other things that decrease the on site. Like a lot of these things are really quite elementary, but are not done. Then having a narrower tunnel diameter, not having a gigantic tunnel, but just having a tunnel that sort of is just right for vehicles is also important. We developed an electric locomotive, of course. It seems obvious, but other tunneling efforts use diesel locomotives, which is problematic in a tunnel because it absorbs all the oxygen and emits noxious gas. This is an obvious thing to make electric. And then selling bricks. So that's I'll get more into that. So about 15% of tunneling cost is just trucking the dirt out. So we thought, well, what can we do on site that would alleviate that dirt cost. So we actually are just.
Hello. Sorry about that, guys. I seem to have lost the feed. I've lost it on my phone as well, so I think it's a problem at the Boeing company's end. I've also lost the chat box. Oh, bloody hell. Looks like we have lost the feed. I'm going to try and see if I can get it back. We're back on. We're back on, guys.
It's a very important proof of concept for the technology. And building a tunnel, I mean, LA is like the tunnel equivalent of Broadway. We've got earthquakes, we've got oil and gas and methane in the soil. Like, there's still drill oil in LA. And you've got sort of sandy, rocky soil. There's about 1 million regulatory agencies that you have to satisfy. I mean, essentially, if you can tunnel here, you can tunnel anywhere. And we have three tunnel products. One is the loop that is for transportation pods, and you guys will try it out later today. And that does transport tunnel. We're also seeing a lot of interest in just utility tunnels, where a municipality can get a big tunnel and then put water mains and electricity lines inside the tunnel, and then they can actually service, like if they had a water main break, instead of it flooding the and we have three tunnel products. One is the loop that is for transportation pods, and you guys will try it out later today. And that does transport tunnel. We're also seeing a lot of interest in just utility tunnels, where a municipality can get a big tunnel and then put water mains and electricity lines inside the tunnel, and then they can actually service, like if they had a water main break, instead of it flooding the main street in the city, they can actually go in into the boring company tunnel and fix the water main. So it actually saves cities a lot of grief. And then just transport of like water and sewage and stuff. Now we're just dig holes in the ground. So this fundamentally is what we're trying to solve. We've all been there many times. We must solve the soul-destroying traffic situation. So the loop that we're talking about, it consists of autonomous electric vehicles, the combination of autonomous electric vehicles with deployable guide wheels, so that it braces itself against the side of the tunnel, so that it's safe, even if the car loses power, or even if somebody goes crazy, or there's like a mechanical failure. Those guide wheels keep the car centered in the tunnel and ensure that you can go through the tunnel very fast and still be safe. Then in terms of stations, these are the intent here is to have many more stations than you'd have in a subway. So at least 10 or 20 times more stations than you'd have with a subway. This is also very important because then you can intersperse the stations throughout the city and not dump a ton of traffic in one location. So by distributing, by having many, many stations, you ensure that people get closer to their destination and you don't disrupt the traffic pattern around where the loop exits. And then depending upon how much room you can have an elevator, which only takes up a few parking spaces. You can have like a spiral ramp or a long ramp. And you combine that with fast, low-cost tunnels, and I think you've got a very exciting transport solution. Now, the thing about going 3D, as I was mentioning earlier, is that you can just keep expanding the number of tunnels. So one of the questions we're often asked is, well, sure, if you build this tunnel, then people will use it, and then it'll just get full, and then we'll be back to where we started, and it's like adding a lane on the freeway. You add the lane, but then the traffic expands to fully available volume. But the thing about going 3D is that you could have like you could have 16 tunnels going in the same direction. So you can have as many tunnels as you want, and I'm pretty sure everyone in the United States is not going to move to LA. But you could literally build enough tunnels to transport everyone in the United States in LA. There is no limit. This is very important. So the system can be improved and expanded indefinitely. And it's really about making transport 3D. So, and then also the way it works is there'll be a main artery for the tunnel which travels at 150 miles an hour. It's kind of like an underground highway. So if you think of, say, the way a subway works, a subway is like a bunch of stop streets. You keep stopping. So the average speed on a subway is typically, including stops, is about 10 miles an hour. But the way the loop would work is that you'd have main arteries that are traveling at 150 miles an hour, and only when you want to go to an exit would you have an off-ramp. So you can travel the vast majority of your journey without stopping at 150 miles an hour, and only slow down when you get to your exit. And then automatically transfer from one tunnel to another. It's like a 3D highway system underground, basically. So that's the actual thing you will experience tonight. Yeah. So, and for the elevators, the way we're doing the elevators is we construct them off-site. So the elevators are prefabricated, self-contained steel structures. And so in order to insert the elevator, all you do is dig a hole in the ground real fast, then bring the prefabricated elevator in sections, drop it down, connect the sections, and you're done. There's not like some extended construction project. I think that's also important, so that you don't have these like construction projects that disrupt the city all over the place. And I do want to say, like this, we're in no way saying there shouldn't be other means of public transport, because we get like a lot of the public transport advocates like saying, well, you must hate other public transport. No, it's like I say, like, let all transport, let us do everything we can along every direction to alleviate traffic, allow people to get home, get to work, and not spend hours on the road, whatever it takes. And this, I should say also, we will have continuously operating cars in the loop for those that do not have a car. So this will actually give priority to pedestrians and cyclists with cars that are continuously circulating in the loop. So even if you don't have a car, you can still use the system. I really want to emphasize that. These are the wheels that we were talking about. So this is really a small but very important element, is having retractable wheels that when you're driving down the road normally, they retract and go under the car. You don't even see them. But when you get into the tunnel, they deploy and allow you to go through a narrow tunnel very quickly and effectively like a little train. So this even though it's like a small thing, it's a small but very important element of the technology. And this is something that can be applied to any autonomous EV. So to be clear, this is not intended to be restricted to a Tesla. Obviously, for convenience sake, I use a Tesla. Right, that'd be silly if I didn't. But this is not intended to be some sort of walled garden or just for Teslas or something like that. Any autonomous EV can be outfitted with these guide wheels. Yeah, and why autonomous? Well, it means you can go very, very fast and brake very quickly. Like we expect that you can probably do 1 vehicle per second through the tunnel. Typically on a freeway, you can do, without autonomous vehicles, you can do a car every 2 seconds. But with autonomy, we think you can do a car at least every second. And with radar-based and vision-based braking, you can do so very safely. It's backwards compatible with the road system, which is important. And it can take you can literally go, I mean, you can think of these like, they're sort of like wormholes. It's just like you drop down the worm, like you're driving around, I need to get to the other side of LA or New York or whatever, drop down the wormhole, pop out the other side, and then you can just drive normally. I mean, I think this is like really a panacea. As I was mentioning, elevators prefabricated. You can also do a passive spiral ramp. And you can install these anywhere: parking lots, garages, little alcoves. The elevator itself only takes as much as 2 parking spaces on the street. So if you can just have a station in exchange for 2 parking spaces. But tunnels need to be cheap. Very important. And that's what I mean. That's basically the size of a station. So you can interleave these stations throughout cities, wherever there's a couple parking spaces or a little patch of road, pretty much anywhere. You can actually even have them come up in underground garages. And then one day it will connect to the Hyperloop. But that's for another time. And what I think this really amounts to is an actual solution to the soul-crushing burden of traffic. This is something that I think will actually work. It's scalable, and we have a demonstration tunnel here, and we expect to expand this over time to many cities all around the world, and give people more time for their friends and family. So, all right, company. So, all right. Sorry? Go that way. Sorry, and that concludes our presentation. Thank you.
How you doing, guys? Sorry about the audio. Must have had the audio volume low on the actual video itself. I'll do. I'll try and get the questions box up in a minute. Okay guys, have we got any questions? Someone says this reveal was underwhelming. We're kind of confirming what we already knew really. It's just sort of putting it into practice really and actually making the engineering work, which I think they are doing at present. Like he says, it can be done if you put the time and effort into doing it. It's just that obviously people have been doing it the same way for a very, very long time. Okay, yeah, sorry about the clicking. I didn't realise that until the stream had started, so next time. What it is, I've got this software eCam on like a trial, so I've got 5 days left on the trial. I wanted to make sure it actually works before I purchase it for $70. Obviously it's close to Christmas, so I don't want to be buying something and then realising it's not actually that good. Yeah, going to be lots of videos of people riding the tunnel. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I'll tell you what we'll do. Here we are. Hello everyone. I didn't want to do that. Right, any more questions? It was a bit disappointing that they couldn't get it up to 155 miles per hour. He said the top speed they'd taken it up to was 100 miles an hour. That is a short length of tunnel. Obviously, at either end there is two curves, so they probably could get it up to 120, but like you say, you want to take it easy to begin with before they start really pushing it to the edge of performance. Someone says, MG says, cities don't have the budget for this, it's so limited at the moment. Well, it'd be the Boeing company that fronts the money for these projects. They would own the roads, essentially it would be their toll road that they own, and they put their own, essentially, high-speed buses on the network. Could definitely, if they could leverage the capital reasonably cheaply, they could do it, you could definitely make some money out of this if they charge the right amount. Charging people $1 for a trip is not going to earn you any money. You want to be charging people, you know, $3, $4, maybe $5 a trip, which is in line with current public transport systems anyway. So why not charge around about the same, but offer people a better service, faster, more efficient? I have to get wheel thingies on my car. It says incognito torpedo. No, they would be most of the vehicles would be owned and operated by the Boeing company. That would be their system. It'd be more like a bus underground that travels at high speeds. Elon always says that in order to get people to believe, you have to show them. Yes, that is true. You've got to build it. You've got to realise what problems you're going to encounter along the way. One of the things that I've just seen that impressed me quite a lot was the actual steel skeletal frame that they installed in the shaft at Old Leary Station. They just dropped that in with a jib crane, and then it's all the actual lift system is actually already pre-built into that skeletal frame, so then they can just basically wire it up, turn it on, boom, we've got a lift there. So that's good. I like to see prefabrication. I've always been a big fan of prefabrication, so it's good to see that. There's no way anybody will be allowed to drive their car themselves in that tunnel. I kind of agree in a little way. You've got to have either autopilot on or use the level 4 autonomous system that the Boeing company is going to use. Otherwise, people will be driving too slow. If they didn't have the wheel touching the shelves on the side of the track, then they might actually crash, and then they'd stop the car, and then they'd cause a pile-up or just delay everyone. So you'd have to use autonomous vehicles that have been built to work in this system only. OBS streaming software is free. That is correct. I've used OBS. That was from Kato Doctor. However, it did crash a few times when I was using it. This software I am going to buy. I just wanted to trial it, make sure it absolutely works before I spend my $70. I'm pretty happy with this software. I just need to work out a few little bugs, but otherwise it's been quite good. Charlie Doyle says, if tunnelling gets cheap, cities will have the budget for lots of these tunnels. Very, very true. Absolutely. Very much agree with that, Charlie. If they can get the cost below $3-4 million per mile, all the cities that are sort of really trying to tackle congestion will say, you know what, why not loan the Boeing company the money to build these tunnels, and it'll help them, and they'll also earn a bit of money from it as well. Because this is going to be, this is not going to be publicly owned. It's going to be a private system, so it'll be in their interest to let them do that and to get it through the planning process quicker. Cities don't pay for this. It's a product the Boeing company sells. That was by Aaron L. Yes, that's correct. It's a private transport system, a bit like a toll road, but the actual buses are provided by the Boeing company, and also possibly they might use freight on this service at a later date using special Boeing company pods. Morenokov says, I live in near LA. To drive 13 miles took me 3 goddamn hours. Well, that's the issue. That's the problem. We've been trying to tackle this problem in the wrong way, and traffic is just getting worse. Here in Manchester, sometimes takes me an hour and a half to travel 12 miles, and that's not really acceptable. Billy Morgan Music says, I hope this presentation inspires politicians to adapt the system in their own cities. I agree, Billy. Hopefully someone is going to look at what Elon Musk is doing here, help him, possibly give him some funding options to get this going, to build a nice big tunnel so we can actually see what benefits it offers the local community. When he delivers, they will soon realise that building hundreds and hundreds of miles of these tunnels will benefit a city greatly, will reduce congestion, will give people options about how they get around the city. It'll also encourage more people to cycle if we take cars off the roads and put them underground, and then you can leave those roads at the surface for more cyclists. Hi, that's Shane Fiddle says, hi, where will the next tunnel go? It will be the Dugout Loop, the next tunnel that they're going to build. They will also start the Chicago project, the Chicago Express Loop, some point in the next 6 to 12 months, I imagine. Is that Windows 95 back there, mate? God, I've not seen Windows 95 for a long time. No, this is a Mac. We need an Instagram stream, I guess so. Charlie says, do you think this means he is de-emphasising using electric pods? Not really sure whether they're definitely going to be using electric. Everything in this system will be electric. They won't even let hybrid systems. Let's skip ahead, see what we've got. Billy Morgan says, Elon is paying for the Chicago tunnel out of his own pocket. Yes, he is. I mean, getting access to capital these days is fairly easy. You can get money at quite a low interest rate, and thus, if you can get thousands of people using the system, you can get a decent return. Elon should be charging people at least $5 to $10 for a ticket in Chicago, in my opinion. That's how he'll make his money. If he has lots and lots of pods, especially during rush hour, he'll make some good money running that system if he's charging the right amount. He just needs to keep increasing the price of a ticket until he starts to see a profit. Shane Fiddle says, Hyperloop will be in these eventually. The tunnels removed. That is the goal, at least. Yeah, definitely. I'd like to see Hyperloop running between LA and San Diego, and LA, San Francisco, and maybe up to Seattle as well. Definitely can be done. We can put it all in a tunnel, or put 70% of it in a tunnel, and then the rest as sort of elevated tubes. That's what we hope to see. It can be done. Hopefully that's what will happen in the near future, the next sort of 5 to 10 years. Tyler D1234 says, Hyperloop's only realistic chance is underground. Yes, that is correct. It is correct, my friend. Much less costs. Run John says, my electric Fiat will go faster than I ever thought it could. It probably could go faster than that pod we've seen today. He wasn't driving. I think he was driving it kind of for show, so you could actually see it. Nice and slow. Can you show us if we can do a free ride tomorrow? When they originally launched the event and it was going to happen on the 10th, he said that on the 11th they will be offering free rides to the public. So I imagine he will still follow through with that. So on the 19th, they will offer the free rides. I'm not sure from what time. I'd imagine around lunchtime, say. So definitely worth going on the Boring Company Twitter feed, seeing if they've posted anything on there. If I see anything, I'll post it on my Twitter feed. That's at Boring Proof Rock at Twitter. Yeah, Billy Morgan, you're asking some good questions, Billy. If the tunnel speed is 150 miles per hour, then all EV cars that are built to be used in that tunnel are going to have to be able to hit 150 miles per hour. Yeah, absolutely correct. So you'll have to adapt your vehicle to ensure that it can do 155 miles per hour. Otherwise, obviously, you create problems if you could only do 130 miles an hour because you're slowing down all the other vehicles. So it probably, at the moment, it'll only be the Boring Company and Tesla vehicles that can use it. In the future, maybe other vehicles like Rivian, Lucid, and others will make cars that they can use in that system that can do 155 miles per hour. Adam Wood says, I've been to Manchester, Canal Street specifically. Oh, have you? Hope you had a nice time. Here's a good question. Lost in the Curve. Do the tunnels need to be under city, county right of way? I thought property owners owned the property all the way to the core of the earth. I'm not sure what the exact rules are in the USA. In the UK, the property underneath your house is essentially owned by the Crown, or the Queen, as we know it here. I mean, really, the Boeing company should be able to purchase all the land underneath your house that is more than, say, 80, 90 foot below your house. Because, lots of things could be going on under your house and you wouldn't even know. It's just, legally, what are you entitled to, basically? Are you entitled to being paid a royalty because there's a tunnel underneath your house? I don't know the full legal situation with that, but it is an interesting question. But running tunnels underneath people's houses, as long as you're a good 60, 70 foot underground, you're not going to cause subsidence, and the person's not going to hear you going underneath their house. And if it's tunnelling pretty fast, you'd never notice. You wouldn't see lorries on the road for months and months and months. It would be done fairly quickly. So Elon Musk mentioned doing, correct me if I'm wrong, 1 mile per week, which is pretty damn good. Dino Ray says, I just want to know what prevents pedestrians from falling into those holes on the ground level. You'd have to have some kind of barrier around the elevator. Maybe a glass barrier. Otherwise it would just look a bit horrendous. You definitely need some kind of barrier, health and safety wise. It's too much of a risk to have a 40 foot hole in the ground, like all over the shop. Why did Elon tease something about autonomous cars and pods reveal at the event? Well, that Model X that he showed is a level 4 autonomous car. The press were taken in that car. I've just seen this on Reddit. Apparently, they drove along, I think, 120th Street and then drove into the tunnel. So it was trying to kind of show you what it can do. It could take you to near your destination and then take you that last 400 or 500 meters to where you need to go. So it eliminates the last mile problem. Shane Fiddle says, hey, I think Musk has very little extra energy to focus on the Boeing company right now. It is a hobby for him. That's where they've got Steve Davis. Steve Davis is the guy managing the Boeing company. He's going to be managing the Boeing company projects. Hopefully he can do what is needed. Oh, I've done this again. I need to work out how to get the chat box up again. Maybe it's... Yes! I worked it out. Where was I? Let's go up. Right, I've got the chat box up again now. Just get used to this. Looking forward to the next tunnel. The next tunnel will be the dugout loop. What I want to do with the dugout loop is I want to find exactly when they start digging. The day they turn on that TBM and start removing muck from that tunnel, then I'm going to hopefully try and time how long it takes them to do that tunnel. Because they'll have one, I believe they're going to use one TBM, they're going to dig one tunnel rather than two. And then we can see, how many meters of tunnel are they doing per day? Is it, 40 meters, 70 meters, 100 meters? So it'd be interesting to see how much you can do in a single day. I've already answered that. But I didn't even have the money. Okay. That's fine. Any more questions, guys? Keep coming with the questions. Nice long questions if you want. There's that I was reading that before. Hey, I think there's very little energy to focus on boring right now. I kind of agree. If I was Elon Musk, I'd be spending 60% of my time at Tesla. The lady that runs SpaceX is very good. So you want to give maybe 25 to 30% of your time to SpaceX, and then the other sort of 10 to 15% to the Boeing company. There was no mention of the skate. I think that idea is potentially dead now. So the idea of putting your car on a skate and putting it in a tunnel, I think that idea is dead. Why not just put your own car in the tunnel and use autopilot? That'll save a lot of money. Yeah, he did say tickets will be $1. I don't think you can make any money at $1. My personal opinion. Yeah. 4-seat Model X with 2 extra 75 kilowatt hour batteries. Cool. So just to clarify again, guys, I'm using this eCam software for the first time. It's on trial. I wanted to make sure that it's definitely the right software for me in future for doing my live streams. So I'm just using it as a trial. I'm still getting used to it. I need to work out how to get rid of these little pings because it is annoying. It's probably very obvious, but I don't want to be fiddling around now while we've got questions coming in. And also, I kind of forgot to turn the volume up on the actual feed. So that's why it was a little bit quiet to begin with. So I'm sorry if you turn your volume all the way up and couldn't really hear that well. My apologies. It is like 5 o'clock in the morning here. Good question, David Bateau. Is the Baltimore to DC deal done? As far as I'm aware, that project has kind of been stalled for a little bit. They're focusing on the Chicago Express Loop and the Dugout Loop for now. We might hear more about that next year, but I don't expect them to start it. Elon will make lots of money at even like $1 a ticket if everything pans out all right. I don't think $1's enough. I think they should go for maybe $3. That's pretty cheap. I mean, a dollar is like 78p in the UK, so it's not even a pound. I mean, you can't even buy a chocolate bar for that here in the UK. Why can't the skate just be autonomous so that regular cars could turn off and ride? It's difficult. Like the actual process of driving on and off the skate, I think adds extra makes it a bit more complex than it needs to be. Just running a kind of like a bus style system but faster is the best way to do it. Keep it simple, see if that works. Maybe you could add to it at a later date. Definitely not having problems. They have access to billions from investors. I agree. Elon Musk has no problem raising money. If he can dig tunnels, for $3, $4, $5 million a mile, he won't necessarily need that much money to get a decent sized system going. And once he kind of proves that he can make a reasonable return, then obviously more people will come in. Maybe even local governments will loan him the money. I prefer if they loan him the money, they can earn a bit of money on the interest, and Elon gets to build his system, which benefits the local public. Has the live stream ended? As far as I can see, we are still live. The actual Boeing company live stream has ended, yeah. I'm just going through everyone's questions. Here's Shad Khan, and you can talk about anything you want. Oh no, someone disliked the feed. No! Jacob Spur, you rock, thanks! I am absolutely knackered, guys, I must admit. I'm going to give this another 15 minutes and then I'm going to go back to bed. Would you like to see Hyperloop in Canada from Vancouver to Toronto? Then Toronto is somewhere in Atlantic Canada. Yeah, I'm actually fairly. I know Toronto quite well. So I like rugby league, and the Toronto Wolfpack are obviously quite a decent team at the moment. So I would love to see a Hyperloop linking Toronto. Maybe Toronto to New York, Toronto to Vancouver. That would be pretty cool. The traffic in Toronto is horrendous when I've been there, so obviously they need it. What happens if a pedestrian rides the elevator into the tunnel? Well, the elevator should know that there's someone on the actual elevator. It'll know because of the weight, so it will say if it's like 4 tons, it'll say, right, okay, that must be a car. If someone steps on, if someone then jumps on while there's a car there, obviously that is an issue. That is up to that person. If they decide to do that, they're risking their own lives. If they then fall off and die, if they've taken the risk to do that, ultimately that's what happens. People die committing suicide every day on the railways here in the UK. So trying to stop silly people from doing silly things is impossible. It'll need to be sleds. Individual car owners should not be allowed to control their own speed. It needs to. Everyone, there needs to be a minimum speed in the tunnel for it to work. The minimum speed needs to be 140 miles per hour in certain places. Obviously, if you're going around a corner, you're only going to be able to do about 50, 60 miles per hour. But on the straights, you need to be doing at least 140 miles per hour minimum. Yeah, that kind of confirms what I'm thinking. I don't personally see what the issue is digging a tunnel, a perfect straight line for Hyperloop under people's houses. It doesn't cause, it won't cause, as long as it's 100 foot deep, I can absolutely guarantee beyond reasonable doubt that there won't be any subsidence, so I don't really see the issue. Yeah, one second seems quite insane, really. Yeah. The underground version of NIMBY is Dumby. Deny under my backyard. Yeah, that's true. I don't like NIMBYs, but unfortunately, there's rules for a reason. We've got to follow them. We've got to set a precedent. It'd be interesting to find out what the rules are. I mean, is it really practical that you own all the land under your house right down to the centre of the earth? It doesn't really seem logistically feasible to even go down and get what you need to get if it is down there. Underground rights are purchasable in the USA. Well, yeah, there needs to be some kind of. There probably is a system. I just don't know about it. Needs to be a system whereby you can buy volumes of land, so it actually be like a meters cubed underneath someone's house. Obviously, you'd have to compensate them adequately. You can't go under someone's house and pay them $10. It needs to be something reasonable. Thousands of dollars to buy a certain amount of cubic feet underneath their house. That is a reasonable solution to this issue. Where are you streaming from, John Martin? I'm streaming from Bolton in England, which is just northwest of Manchester, about 10 miles northwest of Manchester. It is at the moment 5:20 in the morning. I've actually woke up quite a lot now. I'm quite enjoying this. Thank you everyone for the questions. I hope this stream's just gone on for a long time, but I mean, it's been a major event, so we might as well, keep going. Did I understand correctly that every car has to be fitted with the side guide wheels, thus eliminating the original skate for each car? The original plan was to have these kind of skates that you can drive on with your electric car, and those actual skates would have these guide wheels as well, but I've not heard anything about that. I think they're just the more cost-effective solution at this present time is to use these kind of super fast buses and just move people like pedestrians, cyclists and just general commuters, rather than having lots and lots of different vehicles. They could potentially open it up to third parties, other car makers maybe, to use that system, as long as they can produce a vehicle that does, the right speeds and has the right range. So that's the last thing you want, is a car in the tunnel running out of battery and then being stopped, because then that's just a nightmare. It could create a huge bottleneck. I think they'll just concentrate on these the pods. I think the pods, it said 8 to 16 people in a pod. I'd be surprised if it can hold 16 people comfortably. It'd be a bit like a sardine can, so it'd be like, they'll just use those for now to keep it simple, and then they'll add to it in the next couple of years. And with the guide wheels, it kind of does all the work for you. Because you own that tunnel, you can put sensors in that tunnel that tells the vehicle exactly where it is at any time. So it'd be a lot simpler than driving on the surface. Then obviously if you come out of the elevator and then you're travelling 400, 500 meters to your house, it'll then need to definitely be a level 4 autonomous vehicle, which Tesla is very close to achieving. Probably get there by the end of next year. You got to think, if Elon's plan is to have tunnel access from your house, therefore you would have your own private driveway underground. Could that be utilised for services like mail? Well, there's no reason why the mailman could have his own vehicle that he could use in the morning in the tunnels. Maybe if you've got different levels of tunnels, level 1 could have a speed limit of, say, 60, 70 miles per hour. So then the actual mail vehicle, which would have to be electric, could use that system, and then it would help them get around quickly and easily. And that's another use for the system. But yeah, you probably have an elevator at the beginning and end of every road. That's probably the best way of doing it. Or every second road, because obviously you can drive autonomously in the car level 4 now. So you don't need to have an elevator on every single road. Streaming from Bolton, England, north of Manchester. So Elon Musk tests all the software in his own Tesla Model S, I believe. And he has the latest software, so he's almost a year ahead of what most people have in their own cars. So I think he's level 3, getting close to level 4 now in his own car. He's getting very close there, very close to achieving level 4. Yeah, I'm new to this piece of software. I didn't realise there was all this clicking until I started the live stream, and I have no. It's probably just ticking a box somewhere, so I can only apologise for that. Good question. Good question. I mean, it won't happen that much with electric cars, but it will happen. You'd have to have some kind of tow truck that would go into the tunnel and pull it out. That's the only way I can think of it. Yeah, using nuclear-powered TBMs is not going to be acceptable to a lot of people in LA, or in fact any city. A lot of people don't like nuclear power. Personally, I think it's okay if correctly managed, but unfortunately a lot of people don't want that. No, I'll probably put that on a video tomorrow, maybe Thursday. Is that? Can anyone see that now? Is it live on the Boeing Company page? Yeah, absolutely hit it hard. Apparently he didn't inhale, but I think he did. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of complementary technologies, especially the batteries and the vehicles, but SpaceX has got a lot of expertise in using materials, composite materials, that sort of thing, which can be used in the TBM, and we should see that. At the actual assembly of cars at Fremont, that kind of automation can be used in the TBM for assembling the segments for the ring beam in the tunnels. Yeah, I've said that quite a few times about Tokyo. There has never been an instant of a tunnel collapsing in Tokyo or near Tokyo. No, in fact, in the whole of Japan, no railway tunnels or road tunnels have ever collapsed in Japan. And I've looked on Google for it, and it's never happened. So as long as you engineer the tunnels correctly, they will not collapse. They may sustain some damage in an earthquake and subsequently need to be repaired or even totally replaced, but they will not collapse even after several aftershocks. Yes, Sarah Aprecia. I really like Galileo Russell. I'm a Patreon on his channel, Hyperchange. I think he would make an excellent addition to the board of directors at Tesla and the Boeing Company. I'd like to see him involved with the Boeing Company as well. I think he has a lot to offer. He's a young man full of ideas. He's got a very good business brain. Definitely think that guy should be more involved. Yeah. Oh, really? So Oscar Garcia says, according to Ars Technica, they can't take pictures or video. That's a bit unfortunate. Yeah, they shouldn't let ice cars into the system. The fumes are not going to be great on the ground. Another thing that I didn't like was they've still got that huge ventilation duct that runs along the top centre of the tunnel, and I just don't think that they necessarily need something that big when they're using electric vehicles. It's huge. It's about 15-inch diameter. It's just too big. So they need to think of a more slimlined approach. Something that sort of hugs the crown of the tunnel and allows air to circulate in the tunnel. Maybe have a few more ventilation shafts along the tunnel route. Yeah, Shane, thank you very much for that. Please, guys, like and subscribe to the channel. Sorry about the earlier problems. We will make it better next time. Every live theme is an opportunity to learn. Everything you do in life is an opportunity to learn. I didn't quite get it right tonight. It was decent, but you know I can do better, and I'll make sure it's better next time. Don't you worry. Yeah, I agree, Tyler. Can be used on Mars. Yeah. It needs to be fully autonomous when you go in the tunnels. You can't have anyone driving in the tunnels themselves. We're nearly at 100 likes. Smash the likes, guys. Smash those likes. Yeah, you missed it, unfortunately. Yeah, getting rid of dirt, taking it to landfill is incredibly expensive. I worked on a job in Leeds, and that excavation was close to, it was about 28 foot, 29 foot deep, and the volume of earth that we were shifting off that site in terms of truckloads, cubic yards, was insane, and right next to the canal in Leeds. And it was costing us a fortune, but in the end of the day, you've got to get rid of the dirt, otherwise you can't build. So the actual boring company converted it into bricks that people can actually use for social housing projects, retaining walls, barbecues, all sorts of other uses. Then that's brilliant. No. Yeah, Dino, that's correct. Looks a bit rough inside. Looks decent. They've painted it all up. They've got the lights in there. I like it. I agree with that, Dino. A reasonable law would be that you own all the land that is, say, 100 foot below the foundations of your house, and you own all the land 100 foot above your ridge of your roof. That would be a sensible law, wouldn't it, really? And then obviously the boring company could go 101 foot and go underneath the rights. That's my opinion. If that's correct, Jacob, then that's good. Because what concerns me is the boring company might need to buy some land at the corner of a street, so an intersection, so that they can get from underneath one road to another road. And if someone is being a real arsehole and won't sell the land under their house, it stops the entire project. You could have a 10-mile tunnel, and all you need is access to this particular plot of land, and it stops the entire project. So you need a way of compensating the person and kind of stopping them from sandbagging the job. I don't know what to say to that. Yeah. As long as the tunnel is at least 30 to 35 foot below the foundations of your house, you will not feel anything, not even the tiniest. You could have a glass to your ear and have it against your floor, and you could be like listening all day long, and you will not hear anything. You won't even feel the vibrations, not one decibel. That's correct, Charlie. We can turn a potential expense into a profit-making entity by selling the bricks. And they're good bricks. Comments keep coming, guys. Keep coming with the comments, guys. They seem to fold from that video that I viewed. They seem to fold up underneath the car, but like you say, it is a moving part. There is potential for it to fail. But if it fails underground, you'd probably still be able to get to the surface. So you'd be able to finish your drop off and then maybe stop the car. It'd be interesting to see how reliable that system is in terms of deploying and then folding up the wheel. But it's a good point. Very good point, that, Charlie. Yeah. So if they want to progress this project quickly, they need to make sure that, say 97% of the tunnel goes underneath current roads. So you've got the right of way. That way you're going to have less legal disputes. Plus, in the absolute worst, and it won't happen, you won't get subsidence, but if there is some minor subsidence, if it occurs underneath a road, it's not really going to affect people that much. But the probability of there being subsidence is very, very low. Okay, I'll just go through the questions. Yeah, I think he should. He mentioned about sewage and water connections. So why not fibre optic cables? Obviously makes sense to do that in LA and get everyone super fast fibre optic speeds. I've just got fibre optic here at my house, and the difference between broadband, standard broadband, and fibre optic is just insane. I went on Steam yesterday and downloaded a game, and it took 7.5 minutes, and previously it was taking me close to 8, maybe even 10 hours. So it's just insane, the speeds. I can't get my head around it still. So yeah, definitely you should let people, because obviously that's a nice little income for the Boeing company. If he says, here you go, here's, you know, $800,000, you can put your cable under here, but you've got to pay to access it if you need to do some maintenance. That's $800,000 in the pockets of the Boeing company that they can invest in new tunnels. Here's an idea. Why not Amazon build their own vehicle or hire vehicles from the Boeing company, and then they can deliver their own parcels using their own vehicles autonomously, or even just have someone in the vehicle whose sole job is to get out and deliver the parcels. He doesn't need to drive the vehicle. So most of the time he won't be doing anything. He'll just be kind of sat there waiting for the vehicle to pull up to its destination. So Amazon can make some money out of this service, and the Boeing company could operate it like a toll road. So they could charge, say, like 8 cents a mile to Amazon to put their vehicles in the tunnel and use it to deliver parcels. What do you think to that idea, guys? Do you think it's a decent idea for Amazon to use the Boeing company system to deliver parcels? It sure does. Yeah, now you know Zach and Jesse. Awesome channel, guys. If you've not subscribed, definitely subscribe. I watch them all the time. They've just done a video yesterday, or well, it's today. It's actually today in US time on FUD. You're always talking about FUD at the water cooler, which makes me laugh because it's kind of like that at work. People talk about garbage when they go and get water. It's like, oh, shut up, guys. Tesla's going to go bankrupt. And it's like, no, mate, they're not. I'm just not going to bother getting any water because I don't want to listen to your garbage at the water cooler. Marshall Giggleman. What a great surname. I want Manchester to talk to the Boeing company and get this going here, as we desperately need it. Other cities in the UK like Leeds, Liverpool, Birmingham, Nottingham, Bristol, Wolverhampton, Glasgow, Edinburgh, definitely places where this would be feasible. Definitely need it. Newcastle as well. Newcastle would be perfect. Yeah. The tunnels in New York are in a very bad state of repair. I've been reading up on this. The tunnels need closing, and they need to actually reline the tunnels because over time it's degraded so much. The infrastructure in New York has been very, very poorly maintained, Billy, and no money's been put into it, and it's been neglected. And unfortunately, what happens is eventually you get to the point where you then have to put a lot of money in at one time, and that's what's happened with New York. So previous governors of New York have neglected the system, and unfortunately now they have to put a lot of money in to make it right. I don't think Elon's tech. I think New York should stick with the subway. They should just do the necessary repairs and maintenance, and then have a complementary Boeing company system running alongside the subway in New York. That's my opinion, Billy. They should keep the subway, and they should keep the existing lines because they do a fantastic job. Very true, Marshall. I agree. Yeah, well, I believe in the UK, correct me if I'm wrong, it's close to 2 or 3 people every day committing suicide via trains and trams and all sorts of things. So, I mean, what can you do if someone's in that mental state? How can you prevent it unless you have the doors locked? You probably would have them locked. The actual car would lock the doors while you were going down the elevator and prevent you from exiting. But then, you know, if you were desperate, I imagine you could just hit the emergency button and get out. Are they? That's very interesting to hear that. Obviously, I'm here in the UK, so I'm not aware of that, but that'd be interesting to find out how they're doing that. Are they offering people compensation? And how much compensation? Could do. A good place for the Boeing company to get established would be India. India has some of the worst traffic congestion in the world, and definitely I think they should go and try out getting into India in the big cities. Definitely the Indian authorities would be interested in letting them do that. Right guys, I'm going to stop the stream, so any quick questions before I finish? I'm going to go to the bottom. Right, before I finish, get your last questions in. Just tell me what you think I need to improve for the next live stream. What are the 2 things you think that I should improve on? Obviously, I need to stop all this pinging, which I will find out how to do, and increase the volume level for the live feed. But anything else you think that I should be doing? Oh, thank you, Jacob. This is my first go at live streaming today. So I'm going to buy this Ecamm software. I think it's excellent. I'm going to buy that after, maybe in the new year, because I've spent a lot of money on Christmas presents. You can probably see in the background that I've got some that I need to wrap. But once I've wrapped all my Christmas presents and we're into the new year, and work has paid me, I'm going to buy Ecamm, and then I'm going to perfect the live streaming process. Now You Know is awesome. Our Ludicrous Future, yeah. It's got Ben Sullins, it's got Everyday Astronaut, and Answers with Joe, I think it is, Answers with Joe. They're all awesome. Yeah, it's right there. I'm not even reading it, it's right there in front of me. And Hyperchange, yeah. Oh, excellent choice of YouTubers there. I want to be, in a year's time, I want to be in that kind of list and mentioned alongside these people, because these are awesome YouTubers. I've learned a lot from watching their shows. I'm going to get more into editing videos and that sort of thing, because at the moment what I'm doing is quite basic, but most importantly the information that I'm providing is good information. So that's what's getting me the views at the moment, but I need to improve obviously the delivery. Yeah, it definitely better than a bridge. The trouble with digging underneath rivers, here's an interesting point, is the actual geology, or the actual subsoil. It tends to be clay, like in London, and it is horrendous to tunnel through that clay. You probably have 40, 50 foot of clay in London, near to, even like miles away from the rivers. And it's just like a sludge. It's very difficult to bore through. You have to have specially adapted TBMs. Oh, thanks, Dino. Appreciate that. Thank you, David. Thank you very much for tuning in. Yeah, Tim Dodd is awesome. I really like Tim. I need to watch more of Tim Dodd. I'm trying to get into rockets now, but obviously I'm trying to do like 100 different things at the moment, and I need to get into rockets next because I'm quite interested in Blue Origin, SpaceX, and there's a rocket company in New Zealand that make rockets with carbon fibre, and I just find that absolutely fascinating. So I want to get into that and understand it a bit more. I need to give it a bit more time. Ben Penner will be focused on videos. Anything to do with the Boring Company, purely, all the projects. As the Boring Company becomes more established and starts building more and more projects, this channel will be more sort of focused on updates in terms of progress, in terms of future plans, in terms of like how the system is functioning, how can it improve. I'd like to get the Patreon going and then kind of fund trips abroad, so go to Chicago, go to Washington, Baltimore, go to LA, and do sort of live events. Maybe do some interviews with various people, other YouTubers. I'd love to interview a few of the YouTubers we've mentioned just now. Yeah, so Billy, what it is I'm reading through the comments and I'm not scrolling down fast enough, so I've got about 15 comments. I'm 15 comments behind at the moment. It's probably a bit of a barrier because I'm in the UK and you're in the USA. Rocket, that's it, Rocket Lab. Yes, Richard, I like Rocket Lab. I like companies that think of a different way of doing it and then execute it perfectly, and I think Rocket Lab are doing that brilliantly. And I just love little like plucky companies like Rocket Lab. Go research. Trust me, man, I do my research. Right, guys, I think I'm going to stop now. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate all the comments. There's some things I need to improve on. I will get that sorted. Don't you worry. Thank you very much. What a great event. It was fantastic to see Elon so enthusiastic about this project. We are going places next year. 2019 is going to be phenomenal. We're going to have all these projects starting. Once we can get people using the system and they can understand its use case, that is when we start winning. And thank you for tuning in. And remember, guys, don't be boring. Like and subscribe, and we'll have some more videos over the next 2 or 3 days. And then it's Christmas time, guys, so have a Merry Christmas. All right, see you later. Goodbye. See you later. Thank you very much.